Welcome back, and joining me with more insight on the day's trade is Graeme Franck from PSG Wealth Sandton Grayston. Thank you so much for your time, Graeme. Graeme, the rand has just been, I think, putting me and everybody in a good mood. At some point earlier on in the day, it was at 18 rand 5 cents. As we are now having this conversation, it's at 18 rand 12, but really strong gains for the rand compared to the close to 19 rand levels that we had seen not so long ago. What exactly is it that is powering up the rand?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a turnaround in China. Well, sort of the news coming out of China has been a little bit better, which is obviously good for commodity shares and the rand being a commodity currency. But I do think it was possibly a little bit overdone on the weaker side when it got close to 19. Every time we see it at around the 19 or 19 plus, it tends to strengthen. So yeah, I mean, we could well be seeing the rand with a 17 handle on it in the next few weeks. But yeah, as you say, I mean, we've seen quite a few clients moving money offshore at the 18 and a bit today as well. Another wave of clients coming in and moving their 1 million rand allowances offshore. So as soon as it gets down to these levels, we see some action on the rand.
Very interesting there. Well, another place where we have seen a lot of action is the PGM miners. Those have just been firing on as well. I think it was only on Tuesday where they took a little bit of a breather, but they have continued to trend higher. And I'm guessing that, for example, even though we saw African Rainbow Minerals coming out with results where they saw a drop in their bottom line, that the climb in the share price maybe has nothing to do with those numbers, but rather just participating in the rally that we've seen in those PGM miners.
Yeah, so I guess two answers to that question, specifically on the PGM counters. They've had an unbelievably strong week. I think a combination of obviously better commodity prices, better news, as I said, coming out of China, but also very low valuations. They're bouncing from extreme lows. I looked at Implats a little bit earlier, and just a week ago, their share price was 88 rand, and it's trading, let me get this right, it's trading at 118 rand at the moment, so that's up 34% in 1 week. The answer to your question on African Rainbow Minerals, yeah, as you said, results were poor today. They announced headline earnings down 49%, which at face value is a terrible result, but I think the market had, well, certainly the market had discounted that. The fact that their dividend was only down sort of 25% to 4.50 and their balance sheet's very strong, the market really cheered that, and the share price was up 4%. And as you say, they've got some Harmony exposure, i.e. gold, they've got some PGM exposure, so not nearly as poor as, for example, a single commodity miner like Exxaro, which also came out with numbers today, and they were down 3 or 4%.
Well, yeah, let's actually, it's not even at this point, Graeme, it's even gone down to 6%, extending those losses that we are seeing there. Talk to me about just this selling activity on Exxaro.
So again, they came out, theirs wasn't an actual earnings, it was more a trading statement where they guided the market down, headline earnings to between 30 to 40% down. And again, a single commodity miner that predominantly deals in coal, very risky, Eskom, load shedding's back again, I see this afternoon. So, all pointing to pretty significant headwinds. I thought it was down 3 or 4%, but it seems like the load shedding announcement has pushed it down 6%. So they don't have really anywhere to hide like the golds and the PGMs, like some of the other diversified miners would have.
Well, talking about also having nowhere to hide, British American Tobacco from all the regulatory headwinds. There's an announcement that came up on a sense, I think at 11 today, talking about some litigation settlement in Canada. Just give us more detail on that.
Yeah, I mean, the share price hasn't really reacted to, either way. It's a small deal, but I think it just points to continued litigation. They're having to settle in all jurisdictions around the world. This one, as you say, was in Canada. The share price was down 0.5 or 1% earlier when I looked. By the way, that could also be a reflection of the stronger rand. But if I look around me, having 3 kids and, looking at the social scene, some of the kids vape every now and then when they go out at night, but certainly it'll never offset the traditional smoking tobacco products. And we see a continual decline, continual headwinds for all tobacco companies, trying their best to make it up with dividends, but I just think over time, British American Tobacco will continue to face headwinds, and the capital value of the share is pretty much going nowhere. So you'll buy it if you want a decent dividend, but even that, I would guess, over time will be under pressure.
Yeah, and because of this constant cloud, this constant overhang. Well, let's talk about let's talk about Richemont, because Richemont's also been under pressure, and I actually wasn't sure if it's because of China, the trade data that came out of China. Anything specific there that's got Richemont so down today?
So I did see there was a European luxury good company called, I don't know how to pronounce this, my Italian's not great, but Salvatore Ferragamo, I think it's called.
Yes.
They came out with a pretty poor set of numbers, and especially a very uncertain outlook where they were particularly pessimistic. That share price was down 14%. And I see LVMH, which, as you know, is also listed in Europe, that was down about 4%. So I guess just a hangover through to Richemont on that one. And again, plus the stronger rand, given that it's quoted in Switzerland and brought back dual listed to South Africa. So I think the combination of those has put significant pressure on Richemont.
All right. Well, Richemont, they're catching a cold, and not the kind of good cold that you get when you're putting on a Cartier bracelet. Well, let's get to your stock pick for today, Graeme. What are you choosing?
So we spoke about African Rainbow Minerals earlier. I'm going to go for something slightly different, but African Rainbow Capital. So still owned majority holder Patrice Motsepe, but instead of the mining company, this is the holding company. By the way, this is my personal pick. PSG themselves haven't done a lot of research on this. But remember, they are the holding company for early stage investments in Time Bank and Rain. And if we look at, again, PSG Group, Capitec, some of the early stage investments in that, I do think that African Rainbow Capital, the code is AIL. They've probably got still a long way to run if you believe in the fiber and the banking on Time Bank. So, and it's run by two ex-Sanlam CEOs, Johan and Johan, who are very good operators. So, yeah, I think a left field idea. By the way, most holding companies, be it Raynet, Remgro, African Rainbow Capital, a lot of those holding companies are trading at significant discounts at the moment.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your analysis today, Graeme, and also giving us insight on where you are seeing opportunity. That was Graeme Franck from PSG Wealth Sandton Grayston.